Welcome back, Horror Fam, to day 26 of our Halloween countdown! Tonight we're diving into a world where love takes a dark and twisted turn. In Love Gone Wrong, creepy stories that will haunt you, we're sharing tales of romance that are anything but sweet. These stories blur the line of love and obsession and even have a supernatural twist. So if you think love is all about happy endings, get ready for some haunting stories that'll prove otherwise.
From the moment we met in high school, my wife and I were inseparable. As the years pass, it's normal to lose a little bit of that fire. But we had a house and a son, and we're still very much in love. Or so I thought. I worked overnight. Tonight, I went out like I was going to work, but instead picked up a bottle of wine to surprise her. I stood there, paralyzed, silent. I wanted to scream, but couldn't. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew whatever it was, I would have to be quiet. As I saw him walking away, I was again filled with pain. No, anger. Look at him, casually walking away from what I had worked my entire life for, like it was nothing. That is my house with my things and my family. And he casually uses it and walks away when he's done. I could use my gun. My gun would wake my son. A knife. A knife would make a mess. No. I need this to be clean. I need to clean up this mess. Clean up her mess. Clean. A plastic bag. A clean plastic bag. A garbage bag for the garbage. The plastic bag made it clean, but did nothing for the sound. The pillows helped there. You promised me forever, you liar. You promised, and now I'm alone. I was broken, but now was not the time for crying. I put my wife on my back and I ran into the woods behind my house. They were big, dangerous, and bordered the entire town. After hiding her in a place I was sure no one would find her, I ran back home. Ironically enough, I made it back at the time I wouldn't have made if I had actually gone to work. My son was there when I opened the door. He looked at me for a moment, then turned his head. 4 days passed. I filed a police report. I was never even questioned. Apparently, the neighbors saw a strange man, not from the area, leaving my house in the middle of the night. And also saw me open my front door at the time I usually get home from work. My son seemed okay, but continued to have trouble making eye contact with me. I began to worry that he had seen what I had done. That night at dinner, I brought it up to him. If he had seen something, I should be able to convince him he is remembering things incorrectly. Samuel, you've been different these past few days. Is there something you want to say? Are you worried because you don't know where Mommy is?
Daddy, I know where Mommy is. She's been on your back for days.
I promise you will never be alone. I promise you will never be alone. I promise you will never be alone. I promise you will never be alone.
We all know a Romeo. It seems no matter what he's doing, he manages to fall in love. Goes to the grocery store, falls in love. Walks through the park, falls in love. Uses the elevator. Well, you guys get the idea. Normally, this puppy love is harmless. But sometimes, it can cost you everything. It was an average Friday afternoon. Tom was sitting in math class. School would be over in 6 minutes. He sat there, bored out of his skull, waiting for the week to end, when something caught his eye. It looked like a picture. When school was over, he ran to the spot where he saw it and quickly grabbed it so no one else could. He picked it up and smiled. It wasn't just a picture. It was a picture of the most beautiful girl he'd ever seen. Her eyes sparkled. Her hair was elegant. And her hand made the peace sign, so you know she was a fun, down-to-earth kind of girl. She was beautiful. He decided he needed to meet her. Since the picture was near the school, he figured she was a student. He asked every one of his friends, every classmate. He even ran back into the school and asked his teachers if they recognized her. But everyone he asked said no. He was devastated. When he got home, he asked his older sister if she knew the girl. Maybe the picture was taken a year or two ago, and they had class together. But unfortunately, she also didn't know the girl. Tom spent the rest of the afternoon and evening staring at that picture until he eventually fell asleep. In the middle of the night, Tom was awakened by a tap on his window. It sounded like nails tapping. He was scared at first, but soon after he heard someone giggle. He saw a girl's shadow near his window, so he got out of his bed to investigate. By the time he reached his window, the shadow was gone, but he could still hear the giggling coming from across the street. He climbed out of the window and ran across the street, but by the time he got there, the giggling stopped. He looked around, seeing if he could spot the shadow again, but it was no use. He turned around and went back to bed. The next day, he ran over to his neighbors and asked if they heard or saw anything the night before. They had not. He then showed them the picture and asked if they recognized the girl, but they didn't know her either. Tom tried to put the girl out of his mind, but couldn't. It seemed like the harder he tried to forget her, the more she stuck. Tom again spent the day staring at the girl in the picture until he eventually fell asleep. That night, Tom was awakened by a tapping again. He wasted no time this time. He immediately grabbed the picture and followed the giggling. It moved faster this time, but appeared to be moving the same way it did the night before. He could hear it coming from his neighbor's property across the... He was dead, with the picture in his hand. The driver got out of the car and tried to help him, but it was too late.
Suddenly he saw the picture and picked it up. It was a picture of a beautiful woman holding up 3 fingers. Skype, the free, instant messaging, voice and webcam app that Windows 10 forces down your throat whether you want it or not. My friends and I have been using it to stay in touch since we all moved away for college. It was nice being able to see them on the laptop screen. Video chatting on a cell phone is fine when you're on the move, but Skype is nicer. It feels more like you're sitting around and hanging out. I found myself talking with Annie a lot. We both just moved into our dorms a few days ago. We were both single, and first semester wouldn't start for another week, so we found ourselves chatting pretty much every day. What we Skyped about wasn't hugely interesting or important. She bought new headphones. I watched The Princess Bride for the first time. It was just nice to have some familiar company. Anyway, I was out clubbing last night. I was pretty groggy and hungover, but I was awoken by the sound of a Skype call. Cursing the fact that I left my laptop on and massaging my temples, I stumbled out of bed. Hello? My eyes struggled to focus on the painfully bright screen. Annie was, of course, dressed, made up, and grinning. My pounding headache aside, it was nice to see Annie first thing in the morning. She gave a cheery wave, to which I responded with a half smile.
Well, aren't you the life of the party this morning?
You should have seen me last night. My dance move put the whole club to shame.
Oh yeah? Is Baby Shark really popular over there? Hey, don't you have that getting to know you event with your RA today?
I glanced at my calendar, but the ink refused to stop squirming on the page. I assumed she was right, but even the small amount of sunlight that seeped into my gloomy domain was eye-watering. Yeah, screw that. What about you? What are you doing today?
Hoping to get a call from Erin. She just took off yesterday during a fire drill. She left a letter on her desk saying that she was going home.
Which one's Erin again? I asked half serious. You know how it is. Your friends talk about so many people that they just kind of blur together after a while. Annie made an unimpressed face.
My neighbor, she lives across the hall from me. She just vanished. I mean, it's only been a day, but we were thinking about calling her parents just to check up on her.
I shrugged. Do it. Better safe than sorry, right? Before she could reply, there came a sudden shrieking of an alarm. Annie said something which was drowned out by the noise, and I covered my ears, wincing. What did you say? She had to shout directly into the microphone.
I said that's the fire alarm. I'd better go outside or the warden will have a fit and make us do the whole thing again.
What time should I call you back? I asked, raising my voice as much as my pounding headache would allow.
Don't worry. I'll only be gone for like 5 minutes. I'll just leave Skype on.
With that, she was gone, pulling the headphones off and placing them on the keyboard. After a few minutes, the alarm cut out. Then I heard the door open. I perked up a little, ready to get back to talking. But it wasn't Annie. Whoever it was, they were wearing all black. My eyes were drawn to their hands. They had a black bag in one hand and a knife in the other. For a few seconds I just sat there, numbly wondering if Annie was playing a creepy joke on me. But it couldn't have been Annie. I snapped into action. What the hell do you think you're doing? Who are you? There was no response from the figure. It couldn't hear me. The headphones were still plugged into Annie's laptop. Instead, it just stood there. For a moment, it was taking in the room. Then it started looking for something in its bag. It pulled something white out and approached the desk. I fumbled for my phone. I had to warn Annie. The masked figure froze. Then, slowly and deliberately, it reached its free hand off camera. I squinted against the pixelated image. And then my heart sank. It was holding Annie's cell phone. She'd left it on her desk. The figure stared at the laptop, like they were inspecting it. Then it turned off Annie's cell phone and placed it beside her laptop. Before moving away, it put the white thing on her keyboard. I only saw it for a second, but it looked like an envelope. It wandered across her room to her closet, opened the door, and hid inside. I glanced down at my phone. I had to call the police. There was no question of that. But even as I dialed the first 9, I realized the mess this would cause. They would need to contact the police in Annie City, hundreds of miles away. I called anyway. I didn't know what else to do.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, I don't know how to do this, but my friend... I paused mid-sentence. I could hear the door open to Annie's room again, and watched Annie casually walk inside. She smiled as she approached the webcam. I yelled as loud as I could for her to run, and I could feel the tears pinching from the corners of my eyes. Annie didn't hear me. She sat down, picked up the headphones, and began to adjust the strap length. Just beyond her, I could see her closet door opening.
Hello, sir. Sir, where is your emergency, sir? Are you still there, sir? Sir! Sir!
So, you like to play hard to get. Ow! My hand! It took a lot of work, but me and my ex-girlfriend finally got back together. Who would have thought that getting 17 plastic surgeries, changing my vocal cords, and changing my name would actually work and get me past that annoying restraining order?
And that's a wrap for day 26, horror fam. I hope these creepy love stories sent a chill down your spine and reminded you that love isn't always what it seems. But don't worry, the Halloween countdown is still going strong, and there's plenty more spooky fun on the way. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and join us tomorrow for day 27. Until then, stay spooky, stay safe, and, as always, make sure you take good care of yourselves, horror fam.